welcome to this recorded Service Management Solution Session featuring BMC FootPrints version 12. My name is Jeff Coleman, and I'm a Senior Software Consultant here at BMC. I'm excited to show you the FootPrints 12 product today. We're going to break today's session into two parts. We're going to start just with a quick solution overview of BMC FootPrints for those of you who don't have any past experience with the solution. And we're going to spend the bulk of our time for this recording actually in the product itself. Now, BMC FootPrints has been around since 1996. It's an integrated IT service and asset management solution. It enables end-to-end business services. It's easy to install, use, and support. Now, since its inception, the product management and product development teams have really kept these three underlying principles in mind, and that's to provide a solution that's comprehensive, that's user-friendly, as well as flexible. Now, a couple things that I'd like to call out. You can see here that since day one, BMC FootPrints has been designed to be solely accessed from a web browser. That's the end users, logging tickets from a self-service portal. That's your agents or technicians that are working with these submitted tickets, even the administration of the product, the form design, the workflow and escalations. All of that's done from a web browser. There is no need to install any software on anybody's machines in your environment to access the system. And yes, we do support all major modern browsers, so Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, Chrome, all supported. FootPrints has also been very carefully aligned with ITIL best practices. And currently we are certified in 10 of those ITIL practices. You can see in the second column here, we are going to focus quite a bit today on drag and drop capabilities. There's no need for you to have any programmers or developers on site to support this product. No need to call a consulting firm anytime you'd like to make a change. You're going to see form design, drag and drop, workflow design, drag and drop as part of the demonstration today. From a licensing standpoint, very flexible. We actually give you two different licensing methods. You can have named agents as well as concurrent agents, and those two can live together. There is no license cost for end users, so anybody accessing that self-service portal, that is included at no charge. So what makes up BMC FootPrints? There's actually two cores or disciplines contained within the solution. We're going to focus this entire recording on the service core. This is the half that provides us the IT service management for your service desk. And you can see that includes incident and problem, change, configuration and service level management, knowledge management, a self-service portal, a service catalog, email and mobility, process automation and workflow, reporting and analytics, and customer surveys. Now, the second half of BMC FootPrints is the asset core. This would be for your PC lifecycle management, your IT endpoint management, or IT asset management. There's a lot of different terms that seem to be used interchangeably. This gives you things like IT discovery and inventory and remote control, application and operating system packaging and deployment, and patch management. And you can see the rest of these disciplines covered down below. We are not going to cover any of these today. However, if you're interested, or if any of these chiclets at the bottom half do pique your interest, certainly reach out to your BMC account manager to schedule a follow-up demonstration on that solution. Now, we have taken great care to integrate these two very tightly. Okay? It's really a focus on empowering your first-level technicians to do things directly from a ticket that maybe before we didn't trust them to do, or they had to escalate to a whole separate team. This really does mirror what's happened over at Gartner. In fact, possibly even what they've done as a result of what we've done here at BMC. And by that I mean, there used to be two magic quadrants. There was an IT service management magic quadrant that focused solely on IT service desk and ITIL. There also was a PC lifecycle management quadrant that focused on the bottom half here. In the last couple of years, Gartner has collapsed those two quadrants down to one. As a result, they've also given us a new acronym. That's ITSSM, That's IT service and support management. And that really does represent the combination of asset and service management. It's no surprise that that new resulting Magic Quadrant, ITSSM quadrant, BMC is still the top right vendor. After all, we have already integrated all of our asset solutions along with our service solutions. Now, if I had to pick on one key differentiator of BMC FootPrints versus every other service management tool out here, this slide sums it up. You see, we're providing not only IT service management, but business service management. And what do I mean by that? Well, you can see this purple orb here would indicate a traditional ITSM solution, right? Focused wholly on IT. Yeah, there's service catalog and workflow and reporting and agents and all the things, but again, only really designed for IT. You know, what happens when human resources reaches out to IT and says, hey, you know, guys, we're looking for a solution to track or streamline our employee onboarding process, so obviously it has to work with what you guys are using in IT. Maybe facilities reaches out to IT, hey guys, we're looking for a system to track work orders. And it'd be great if that would tie in with IT because, of course, we pass things back and forth. And then the application development team reaches out, and this goes on and on. There are many, many business units within most major organizations that need a system to track things. And this is where most other service management tools fall short. Sure, they'll provide options like, well, maybe you could just stand up a separate instance of our software for each of these business units. All right, but you're still not going to get any sort of integration between them. In fact, you might be stuck with some out-of-the-box fields that you can't change, so it still has that look and feel of IT. Now, another option is, well, we'll just dump all those tickets in the same place, and we'll hide certain records based on a field type. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly not a fan of that method, right? I don't want to have ticket number 100, well, that's a printer that's not working, and ticket 101, well, that's a toilet overflowing on the second floor. Oh, and ticket number 102 is a new hire request in human resources. I want to separate those out. And here you can see FootPrints provide you that ability. We give you the ability to partition the system, and you can create as many of these partitions as you'd like. There is no additional license cost associated with these partitions. And we call these partitions workspaces. And each workspace can have its own forms and branding and look and feel and escalation and service levels. It essentially feels like, in this case, I'd have 4 separate instances of the product, but I don't. I've instead standardized on FootPrints. One installation, one platform. Now, there's a couple other benefits that we get from that because the FootPrints does allow us to tie this all together. So if I'm a CIO, I can get cross-workspace reporting. I got one place to go to understand, hey, are all my business units meeting their service levels? I don't have to go to multiple tools to get that. I also can do cross-workspace escalation or transferring of tickets or copying and linking of tickets. Where is that useful? Well, let me give you 2 quick examples. The first would be facilities tied with IT. Let's say that an end user calls the service desk because their computer won't turn on. Of course they're going to call us, right? It's a computer problem. So we create the ticket and we go out to take a look at that user's computer, and very quickly we discover that it has nothing to do with that user's computer at all. Nope, it's the power outlet. The power outlet isn't working. Okay, well, we open up a ticket in facilities. Right? Who's that user going to call 2 hours from now when this still isn't resolved? They're not just going to start magically calling over to facilities. They're going to keep calling us in IT. We were their initial point of contact. This was our issue. And in a traditional organization, that transfer from IT to facilities more than likely takes place via email. And my problem with email is that we lose visibility. That service desk technician has no idea what's going on with that work order. And with FootPrints, we can keep that all in the same platform. When that end user calls the technician on IT to say, hey, what's the status? That technician can look up the status of the work order because the two are linked together and say to the user, well, it looks like they've got a part ordered, or, hey, it looks like they've got it's scheduled to come visit you later this afternoon. So definitely we're promoting better communication between business units. Let me give you another example. As you can see here with the moving balls here coming from human resources, this would illustrate a new hire request. You know, HR goes through their own workflow. The new employee has to fill out their benefits paperwork and their I-9, but they also reach out to facilities. Hey, we got somebody new coming on board. We got to make sure that they've got a desk and a chair and a working power outlet. They reach out to us in IT. Hey, we need a domain account and an email account. They need a desktop computer. They need a smartphone. They need access to certain systems. Again, in most organizations, that's done via email. With Footprints, as that new hire's first day approaches, HR is very confident and can tell that manager, hey, facilities has all their work complete, IT's got all their work complete, we are ready. That new employee is not going to be sitting on the floor twiddling their thumbs. They're going to have a desk and a chair and all the systems that they need. So again, standardizing on the Footprints platform, that's going to drive better communication between business units. That's going to give you better visibility between business units. That's going to overall make for a much more efficient organization. So enough with the PowerPoint. Let's move right into the software itself. And I've actually broken today's session into several different sections. And the first section we're going to start off with here is the end user experience. What does a customer or end user, what's that look and feel like for them from a self-service standpoint? I'm going to preface this also by telling you that I'm not going to show you email today. I think we all understand how email works with a service desk tool. Most of us support email the same way. With Footprints, each of those workspaces can have its own inbound email address. And yes, a user can send an email to that email address. Footprints will digest the contents of that email, and it will automatically create a ticket. One place that we do differentiate here, though, is that we do provide bidirectional email support. And by that, I mean, maybe I'm a technician and I'm at lunch and I get a ticket that's assigned to me. Well, we can configure the system to send me an email to notify me that I've been assigned a ticket. So maybe between bites, I read through this quick email. I say, well, I know the solution to that. I'm going to respond to this email. When I respond as a technician, that response goes back through Footprints before it's delivered to the end user. And that gets us two key benefits. The first is we are preserving the anonymity of your technicians, which is a good thing. But also we're preserving the entire conversation history, and that's important. You know, 3 months down the road when one of my colleagues goes into the system and says, hey, you know, this looks awfully similar. I think Jeff has solved this problem before. How did he do that? Well, they can actually look at the entire conversation, emails included, and actually understand, hey, how did I solve that? Now, I do have one challenge with email, or one personal issue, I suppose, with email, and that is we cannot coax information out of our users via email. It is a blank slate for them to choose how much information they want to tell us about the problem they're having. It's not uncommon to get that inbound email that says nothing but help me or call me or I'm important. That's great, but that doesn't really help me from a support standpoint, right? So I would say that as all service management solutions have matured over the years, and as the culture has changed with our end user community, we really want to push people more towards a self-service portal. After all, from a portal, we can coax that additional information out of a user, and that should cut down the amount of time that we spend on the phone with them. So that's really where I'm going to start. I actually have two web browsers running here. I did have two web browsers running here. There we go. Let me make this one maximized as well. So here is Chrome. I'm logged in as a technician here in Chrome. I also, as you can see here, have Safari. And in Safari, I'm logged in as an end user. So this way we can hop back and forth and understand, you know, what everybody's experience looks like and feels like in the product. So this is the self-service portal, the end user portal. I've called it the customer portal. That's one really key thing that we've added here in Footprints 12 is the ability to create multiple portals, and those portals can contain consoles and views. So I don't have to have just a single self-service portal. A lot of people are scared away from self-service because they feel it's too rigid, that it's not very customizable at all. Here, based on a user's role, I could have a completely different portal based on your location, based on if you're a manager, based on any number of criteria, can have those different portals created. Now, these portals are, you can brand them. I've just got a little generic logo up here in the corner. They are themable or skinnable. Right, so we can change color schemes and icons and whatnot. I can configure where the users land when they come to this portal. We can give them widgets here on the right. You can see I've got just a quick welcome message. I've given them a quick widget to look at their open tickets as well as see any announcements. You know, and all of this is, again, configurable without any programming whatsoever. So here in my environment, what I've done is I've started off at the service catalog. Now what you're going to notice is here's IT and facilities and HR. So even though we do have those workspaces, that division on the back end, I don't want my users to know that those workspaces exist. I simply want to give them one landing page to go to request things and request services. So if they want to drill down into the facilities and they want to, for example, ask for a parking permit, they could do that. We got a nice breadcrumb trail. We can step back here. Maybe they're going to come into human resources and they're going to request a full or part-time employee. Right? They don't know that there's any workspaces behind that. You can even see at the top I've given them quick links to open an IT ticket, a facilities ticket, an HR ticket, just right here at the top. And I've also included a quick link out here just to the company intranet. So you can add as many different buttons as you'd like up there. Yeah, but for demonstration purposes, let's come in here to IT services, and I'm going to request, how about a smartphone? And I'm going to request a Apple iPhone 5. You can see I can have graphics embedded. I can have text embedded. In fact, as I'm still building out this demo environment, I just copied and pasted this, so you'll pardon some of the extra characters down here. I still need to go back and clean that up. But you could have, again, multiple images. You can actually have this really nicely describe what the user is about to request. And so up at the top here, you can see here they can print this off, maybe take it to their manager and say, can I please have this? Or they can just go right from here and request the service. Now, one thing that I like to do here in self-service is keep these forms as simple as you can. If you give people 40 different fields that are mandatory that they have to fill out, by field 10, they are closing their browser and they're calling the service desk because it's just too much effort. So here I've just given them a short description as well as down here they can tell us more information. Now if you want to have radio buttons in here to say, hey, I want this on Verizon and I want the 32 gig version and I'd like to have a nice case with that, you certainly could create those in here. But again, I'm keeping this very, very simple. Seems a little unrealistic, but we're going to ask for that. Okay, so the user's filled that out. We can go ahead and save this, or we can save and close this request, and we'll see in the bottom right corner, yes. Okay, so this actually operation's been completed successfully. We now have a service request. And that's for organizations that split those two out. I realize a lot of you probably treat incidents and service requests the same, but I feel that it's nice to split those out, especially when we bring service levels in play. Now, there's a very big difference between, I'd like a new iPhone, and my monitor's on fire. Right? One's an incident, break fix, one is a service request, and we probably have different SLAs tied to those. So here I have those split out. So while we're on this view as well, notice I can search the knowledge base. And this is my IT knowledge base. I've also made my HR knowledge base available, so maybe disciplinary actions. I'm sure my manager goes into the handling quirky behavior quite often, right? So these are, again, HR specific. If I only wanted to present those to people who are managers, I could do that. Same with IT. Maybe I'm going to do a search here. I'm having an issue with a monitor. Do that quick search. Hey, how do I connect that new HDMI monitor? There's a knowledge article, and I could, again, read about that particular service, particular fix, right? All right. Well, let's create a new ticket. I'm going to do that right here from the top left. Now, I have made this form, again, very, very simple. I hate the big drop-down with categories, right? I'm sure you've seen those before. Is it a hardware problem, software, network? You know, half your users have no idea if it's a network problem or a hardware problem. And I don't like my service desk to be in the business of constantly recategorizing tickets. So I've made this in very, very plain English. Maybe it's going to be something like, that seems pretty descriptive up there as a short description. And now you can see I'm having an issue. I'm having an issue printing something. Specifically, well, it's a printer down the hall. And, well, we can just say it just won't print. Does it affect just me? Well, no, it actually affects my whole department. And, yes, I'm still able to do my job, but I'm not as efficient as I could be. You see, what I've just done here is the user has categorized the ticket for me. They've also prioritized the ticket for me, because that's another thing I'm not a fan of, just the drop-down of low, medium, high, urgent. Everybody's going to just pick urgent, right? Here, this is giving me information, and footprints behind the scenes is going to categorize as well as prioritize this ticket. Maybe it'll say, please hurry up. We can see attachments down below. You can write rules around attachments. So can a user attach how many files? Is there a size limitation? Right, so all that's visible there. We do support templates. I would always recommend taking your top 10 or so ticket types and turn those into templates, because that way a user can simply pick one of these and it'll fill the entire form out for them. I'm just going to go ahead and, again, save and close this ticket. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner that operation's been completed successfully. Now, a couple of other things I'll show you here. For one of the great things about having a self-service portal is that your users can then see the different tickets that they've submitted and the status of those tickets. We can see here, I'm showing the different record numbers. Here are the last two that we just submitted. I see the status of those. You're going to also see in footprints, every single item has a prefix. So this is a service request. This is an incident. PR would be problem. CR is change. Those prefixes are configurable in the system. And that really does eliminate any confusion around, well, is it ticket 100 or problem 100 or change 100? Which 100 are you talking about? Well, here we go. We actually have that prefix for that. So again, definitely some call deflection happening here, right? People aren't going to keep calling back into the system to look up the status. We can do a quick preview pane down below here so the user can see more information, can actually see the conversation if they'd like. Now, I don't have a button up here at the top because I don't have that configured in my environment, but we also do support built-in Active Directory password reset. So for organizations that's their primary ticket type, we can have a link right here on the page, and users can go through and unlock their accounts as well as do the password reset. And that's very, very simple to set that up. Finally, up here on the right, you're going to notice I can pull out chat. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of chat and support, not yet at least. In my opinion, initiating a chat session with my favorite technician is really no better than me calling my favorite technician. And we've set up teams on our IT group, right, based on who's a subject matter expert on what. I want people to go through the proper channels and escalations. I know that there's been some talk about bringing queue-based chatting in, and I think that'll actually maybe improve my opinion of chat in support. A lot of customers turn this off, but again, quite a few do keep it on as well. So I can certainly, right here from this console, initiate a support chat session from the self-service portal. All right, then. Well, let's move on to the next section, which is the technician experience. What about all these tickets that these users are submitting? What about somebody that just calls in the service desk and the technician creates the ticket themselves? What's that look like? So here we can head over to Chrome. And here in Chrome, as you can see, it looks completely different. And why is that? Well, this is a different portal. You can see I'm looking at the IT Service Desk portal. Just keep in your mind that I am logged in as administrator, so I can see everything. One of the things that we've done here is you can see since I have access to everything as an administrator, I can see all the change requests, I can see all of the HR cases, and I could keep stepping page by page here to see all of the incidents, the work orders. That's because that's what I have rights to see. And we've done this because we realize that in a lot of organizations, your technicians wear multiple hats. They might be a first-level technician, but they're also on the change advisory board, so they need to see changes. And we don't want people hopping around all over the console, because they wear these multiple hats. Let's give them this single pane of glass right here that they can see everything that they have rights to. Now, you can see across the top, again, I've created some buttons here. I can give my technicians the ability to customize the look and feel of their environment, or I could take that away if I want to just force this portal on them. We have widgets along the left. I could add widgets. I could also collapse those and get them out of the way, so I have better screen real estate here. I've got a quick access to a calendar, and we're going to talk more about calendaring here in a little bit. And I also have these views, and you can see I've got a view showing me my assignments. That's actually my default when I log into the system, I can first and foremost see what's been assigned to me. I've got a quick link to all tickets. Here's a view of all the incidents and service requests and problems and change requests. What you're seeing is all of this is IT specific, isn't it? So even though we've got these workspaces behind the scenes, how we define these portals really it defines then what the users are going to, or what our agents are going to see when they access the system. Just to show you that, let's actually head over here and take a look at the Human Resources portal. Okay. So again, if I'm a Human Resources employee and I log in, I don't get to hop to any other portal. Again, the only reason I can do this is because of who I'm logged in as. But an HR person, they've got different widgets on the right. You can see they've got a quick link to create a new case and a new hire and a new FAQ. They've got a view into the HR calendar down here. So again, it's a completely different look and feel. Same thing if I shoot over to facilities. We're going to see different color scheme, different branding. Now we're talking new work orders. Now we're looking at work orders, and we're looking at facilities and IT inventory. Got a graph available here that we can collapse. So that gives you an idea of how powerful these portals can be for you. You really can configure this for each business unit that wants to access the system. Well, let's head back over here to the IT service desk. And let's take a look at our incidents and service requests. And you're going to see right here are the top two. There was the one we just submitted. Okay. Let's actually pick on that guy right here. Now, I've actually got that sorted by record number. If I want to sort that by created on, I can do that as well. You can see here I can sort ascending, descending. I can reorder these columns. I can do group bys. I can put filters in place. So again, how I view this data is very configurable. All right, we've got this TPS report. Let's actually go in and edit this. Okay, so here's the form. Now, for those of you who had used Footprints in the past, we did have these tabs along the left. Okay, here we go. And now what we've done is we basically made this one long page, but the tabs are essentially bookmarks to jump us around the page. So if somebody has some accessibility concerns and they can't use a mouse, they could still tab their way through this list. Now we can see up here, right, this ticket's been categorized. We can come down here. We can see it's categorized as printing, printer offline. I could add additional text here. Here's my conversation history, and I can expand that if I'd like. I have an internal notes field. So that's something you want to keep in mind. When you have a self-service portal, your users can see these tickets. So I want to make sure that if I put in here something like, well, that might be true, and that might also be helpful for my technicians, but I certainly don't want my users to see that. So that's why it's important for us to have both an internal as well as a public notes field. Now, because I initiated this from a machine that's not a part of my demo environment, I actually don't have an automatic link to the machine. But if I did, what we would see here is I could, and this is part of the integration with AssetCore, from the ticket, I could take remote control of that user's machine. I could view a full inventory. I could force an audit of that machine, push software to the machine. So again, we've got all of these activities that we can take over IT devices. Continuing to scroll down, I've got my SLAs, so I've got response time and work targets. I can actually, as you can see here, schedule a follow-up date, so maybe I'm going to visit this user tomorrow at a certain time. One of the nice things that we've introduced in Footprints 12 is we no longer sync at the Outlook level, we sync at the Exchange level. So calendar synchronization, agent availability, appointments, all that's handled at the Exchange level. Continuing to scroll down, assignments. So Footprints has a concept of teams. So you can see right now it's assigned to the level 1 team, but I also can assign individuals. And you can see here I could filter that down, and I could add or shift select or control click or click radio buttons here and add different technicians to assign. We do have time tracking capabilities. You can see I have a little clock going up here in the corner. I've actually taken the ability away from my agents to pause that clock. This is simply keeping track of the amount of time that the agent has this ticket open, viewable here in the system. As you can also see, we can add additional time, we can have billing rates calculated, and that way a manager can run a report at the end of the quarter and say, well, what's the average cost from a personnel standpoint for a printer ticket? You get some great reporting capabilities around that. Continuing to move down here, we see linked items. FootPrints makes it really easy to link many to one or one to many, or one to one, or many to many. As you can see, I can quickly look up, hey, this is a printer problem. Let me actually link to, okay, well, right now there are no problems. For those of you doing formalized problem management, you know, if you had multiple incidents that you wanted to roll up into a problem, when somebody else calls after that, we can very quickly look up and say, well, you know what, I want to actually just link this incident to that. It's the same problem. We'll link the two. The benefit there is, of course, as I close the problem, or even if I close the change that has problems linked to that, FootPrints will update and close all the downstream linked child records. Here we can see attachments. I don't have any attachments, but I can add attachments as well, and then the users could download those. And at the bottom, you're going to see a full history. This is not only showing history of, hey, the user updated something, oh, now the technician did an update, now we assigned it to somebody else. But we're also showing all the different things that are taking place from a system rule as well. So maybe an automatic escalation took place because the ticket went unedited for a while, and another automatic rule went to reassign that particular ticket. All of those automated workflows and business rules that get applied to this ticket, those also will show up here in the ticket history itself. We're going to just close this and not save. Now within FootPrints 12, we have introduced quite a bit of visualization capabilities that we had not had before. I think the best way to illustrate that, let's head over here to a problem record. And what do we have here? How about this one here? Email is slow. So let's open that problem up. Take a look at that. So you can see this is a slightly different form as well, because now I've got a section on resolution and closure, and there's root cause, and there's things here in this form that I wouldn't have on my incident form. And we're going to talk more about forms here when we get to the administration part. But when we do formalized problem and formalized change management, understanding impact can quite often be a challenge. Right? We don't want to just blow on the dice and roll them and say, well, the scope here is 100 computers, I think. I need better data than that, especially if I'm on the cab looking to approve or reject a proposed change. Same here in problem. So you can see up here, I can take a look at the impact analysis of this change, of this particular problem. Now this is a little bit of an eye chart. Let's go over here to visualization. This is more like it. So I can see that there are two incidents that are linked to this problem that we're looking at right now, and that problem affects the email service. Okay, well what if we bump the depth up here one more? There we go. I've got these two users that have called in with these two incidents that are linked against these would be our SLAs, our work targets, connected to this problem, which is linked to email, which is supported by these two servers. And what we're showing you here is an introduction into the configuration management database, or the CMDB. You see, problem management without a CMDB is not nearly as effective or as useful. Let's pretend that Bob calls the service desk, and Bob says, well, I got a printer down the hall, it's not working. Of course, that's an incident. We log that against Bob. Well, now, 4 of Bob's colleagues, they all call down over the course of the next couple hours to report that same issue. I now have 5 incidents logged against those 5 individuals. I would argue that that's a problem. That's no longer just an incident. Now, if we don't have the CMDB in place, well, that problem is just linked to Bob, really, or to those tickets. I don't have the concept of configuration items or my IT assets that I can link a problem to, and I need that, right? At the end of the quarter, when I run a report without the CMDB, well, that report's going to say, hey, Bob calls a lot about printer issues. That's not super helpful, is it? If I've got the CMDB in place and we've got all these problems and changes that are linked to that particular printer or configuration item, now at the end of the quarter I run that report, and what's it tell me? Well, it tells me that printer's a piece of junk. We've got 19 different problems that have logged against that in the last quarter. It's cost us all this money. The printer's only worth $500. Why is it still here? We can start making better decisions when we have this CMDB. Now, the question always is, how do we populate that configuration management database? You can pull from any third-party data source to populate that. Of course, the Footprints Asset Core, the inventory manager, can populate that. We also offer something called ADDM, that is Atrium Discovery and Dependency Mapping. And that is a separate module that is a data center of virtual appliance. And that appliance does more than just inventory of your servers. It also does packet analysis. It understands what servers are talking to which other servers on which port. It can map out your business applications for you. So it can say, hey, that server talks to that server on this port, so that must be its database server, this must be its web server. All of this in combination is delivering this application. So definitely multiple tools we can use to populate so that we can keep doing this deep dive. We can keep going deeper and deeper in this view as part of triage, as part of problem management, as part of change management. I'm just going to close these two down here. And let's transition over to the next step. Since we're talking about visualization, let's keep that theme going as we step over into administration of the product. Because quite a bit that we've done here is drag and drop as well. So administration is accomplished right from this same browser, right from the same view. Now remember, I can see administration because I'm an administrator. First level technician, that tab's not going to exist at all for them. Now along the left we can see I can define and work with my portals and consoles and define roles and teams and set up my email and my integration points. And on the right here you can see here's where I manage my business processes and my workspaces and address books and knowledge bases. And you notice a theme here? You see every single one of these items is plural. So we can have multiple workspaces, multiple address books, multiple CMDBs, and we can crisscross link these. It's not just one-to-one. I have to have a facilities CMDB and an IT CMDB, but my facilities guys can't see IT. Okay. So let's take a look here real quick at the service desk side. Now I can also, within each workspace, have multiple record types. So I've got a record type that's an incident and a problem and a service request. Okay, so let's actually take a look at the incident itself. All righty. So I also have, here's the way I can edit my customer form, my agent form, because you saw the form was very different for the agent than it was for our customers. I can also configure and build the form for my mobile interface that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Now on the left I've got my fields that are available to me and I can create these. I've got business rules and workflow. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I can create those quick ticket templates here. Manage the life cycle. So we go from a request state to one of these states and you can see that we can map that out. We can configure our time tracking as well as define visual attributes. So if we are visualizing this ticket, what's that going to look like? Do we want to give that a nice icon perhaps? But let's go back to the forms here and let's take a look at that customer form. Now, this is key. A lot of solutions out there really only give you the ability to define one form, and what your customers see versus what your agents see, well, that's typically done just by hiding certain elements. But as you saw earlier from the self-service portal, this view here is very different, right? This is the I'm having an issue with specifically. The problem is that's my customer form. What's my agent form look like? Well, this was all those different tabs that we saw. Now, adding to or modifying this is very, very straightforward. You can see I can throw it away. I can click and modify on the left. Let's create a new section. There we go. I got a BMC section. Let's make that 2 columns wide. I can pin it to the top if I'd like. And then down below here I have my available fields that I can place on this form, or I've also got form control. So if I want a drop down, I simply drag it out, drop it on the form, and there we go. Along the left, I can make this something like the weather, perhaps, or I can bind it to an existing field. So let's do that. Let's call this category. I'm going to bind that to my category field there. I can set my default value. Let's make this actually 2 columns wide so it goes all the way across. Here are my options there. Mouse over text, help text. Very, very simple to build these forms. All drag and drop. And you are seeing real time here what this is going to look like. You don't have to build the forms and then go to preview them. You'll see them right here. Now, what about automation within the solution? Right? That starts with business rules. I've got a lot of these. It's easier to view in a grid view here. And so these are all the different business rules that I've created. For those of you who have used footprints in the past, these used to be called escalations. Now, if I want to create a new business rule, you can see I've got lots of different options. Is it an on-screen rule or an after save or a rule around email notifications or reminders, firing off a customer satisfaction survey, maybe escalation. Let's do an auto assignment rule here. Just to give you an idea of what this looks like. I can name that rule and give it a description. I can turn it on and off. But I can say, well, do I want this to run any time, or is it maybe only run during my defined work hours? And all of these business rules then have a concept of triggers, criteria, and actions. So let's add a new trigger here. This is going to be, okay, on screen, on create or update. So that's my trigger. And then criteria. So maybe I'm going to key this off of category. So when category is equal to, let's say, hardware, I can add that. And you can see I can add additional criteria, and I can and or these. And then finally, what action are we going to take? And this was an auto assignment rule, so I'm going to say let's change the assignment of the incident, and I can assign it to an individual or to a team. Right, and you can see the different options that are available down here. It's really easy to create these business rules or automations in the system. And once we have all these business rules created, quite often we want to string these together. We want to build workflow from these business rules. I actually have a better workflow over my change management. So let's step back here, and we'll show you that here. Let's come to change and our change request. And here's our workflow. Let's take a look at a workflow for a normal change request. And here you go. This is graphical workflow design. This is not just a picture showing you what you designed behind the scenes in Wizards or whatnot. This is actually, I can interact. If I want to go straight from start down to rejected, I can link those together. I can drag additional items out here, and these are business rules that I'm dragging out here. If we can change our zoom level here a little bit, this is what my standard change looks like. If we go from start to a manager review, you can see there's some different rules that get applied, and then we either go to rejected or pending approval. And then as I slide to the right here, you can see we go to assign, to build, to testing, right, all the way through to closed and the end. So creating these workflows is very, very straightforward here in Footprints. All right, so that wraps it up on the administrative perspective. Let's talk a little bit about reporting. So you don't need third-party tools, reporting tools, to schedule recurring reports, to get PDFs out of the system, to have those delivered to people's inboxes every Friday. All the reporting can be done from within the system itself. Now, if you're an organization that loves Crystal or SQL reporting services, upon purchase of the product, you do get access to the entire data model. So it makes it very easy to hook any of those third-party reporting tools up to the system as well. Here we go. So reporting in version 12 has been renamed to Service Analytics because it's more than just your tactical or technical reports. And here we can see I can design and work with dashboards. I have different report types that I have saved here. Some of these are available out of the box. If I want to pull up a dashboard here, I can share this URL with a manager. I can choose whether or not I give them the rights to interact with this, and you can see they can very easily build the dashboards themselves. You can choose what elements you want to see on that dashboard. If we step back here, you're going to notice I can create different types of reports and dashboards here as well. Let's go ahead and create a custom report. And so we're going to call this the BMC report. I can just save this or view this privately, or I can share this with my colleagues on the service desk. I can also choose to view it just in a dashboard, so just here in the reporting view. I can also make it available in Service Core. And when I do that, if you think back to the technician interface where we had the little widgets along the left, that allows me to add any of these to as a widget in my portals. Now we key really heavily on saved searches to create these reports. I can trigger here to create a new saved search, and I can also see searches that I've already saved. So I've already created one that's showing me open tickets, so let's take a look at that. And I also need to choose open tickets for what, and you can see record types here. So let's go ahead and say I'm interested in open tickets in the service desk, and I want to see incidents. So there we go, open tickets. I've got some options around descriptions. Do I want to include? What about time tracking? And then I can see what fields are available here. So I might want, how about the category, the assignees? Let's take a look at the description and the created on. And on the right, you're going to notice here, it's building this out for me. So I can, maybe if I don't want one of these, I can click the little X. We're going to go ahead and apply the changes. It's going to take a second here because it's actually going to generate the report for me right now. We can see I have those two tickets that I've created today, and I can click on these. I can interact with these. I can add in formulas and filters and group bys. If I want to add some charts, I can add those different charts here to my report. And as you can also see, when I'm happy, I can export this out to Excel. I can also save this as a PDF. You can also see up here at the top, I can schedule these reports to automatically run. So when I'm happy with this report and I have the rights to do so, I can say, well, I do want this report to go to these 4 managers every Friday at 9 a.m. so they can take that to their team meeting. Okay, there's no need for any other tools to accomplish that. So that in a nutshell would be reporting in FootPrints. And that leaves me with one final topic to show here, and that's the mobile interface. Now today, the FootPrints mobile is designed solely for agents or technicians or those of us that are going to be working with the tickets. This is not something that is available for your end users. BMC actually has a much larger strategy around self-service from a mobile standpoint, and that comes in the form of a product called MyIT. MyIT actually interfaces, it started off interfacing with the Remedy product. We just released the availability for it to connect to Remedy Force. I believe FootPrints is next in line. And the goal here is that regardless of which service management offering you have from BMC, if you go from one to the other, it doesn't matter because that self-service, that end-user experience remains unchanged. So I don't have a release date on the MyIT for FootPrints quite yet, but it is certainly something that's in the works. So yeah, so this is the more for the technicians, and I still think this has a very useful place in IT support, or any support really. I mean, you think about this. When I think back in time to when I was doing IT support, you know, maybe I'd have to go out to somebody's desk to help them with a problem. And on my way back to my desk, I feel like I walked around with a big red target on my back, right? Like, hey, Sally pulls me inside and says, oh, I got an update for you on that ticket that we talked about yesterday. And then somebody else pulls me aside and says, hey, can you take a look at this monitor real quick? It's having an issue. And by the time I get back to my desk and sit down, I say, well, what the heck did I just do for 2 hours? If I've got a smartphone on me, I can update that ticket and create that ticket and add my time and do all those things right as I'm out there, so when I get back to my desk, I don't have to put on my thinking cap and try and remember what I just did. So to show you this, let me step out here for a second, and we're going to all pretend that this is a very large iPhone. All righty, so let's actually fire this up. Now, what you just saw there, let's come back here, this little shortcut here. Today, the mobility piece is not a dedicated standalone app. Okay, this is a server-side module that is dishing out handheld-friendly versions of the FootPrints console. Okay, now what's nice about that is that if you're using Android or iOS or you're using Windows Phone or BlackBerry, it doesn't matter to us. It also means we don't have to manage and maintain and develop 4 separate mobile offerings here. Now, I have seen on a roadmap that sometime within the next year or so, maybe year and a half, there is talks of releasing a native iOS and Android application. But in the meantime, our customers that use this seem very, very happy with it. So let me actually log in here. Alrighty. And here we go. So this is the view, and again, these views are all configurable. You saw that when we were doing form design. I have different views that are available. You can see it's very finger-friendly. I can initiate a chat session with Brad or with Judy when I'm out and about. So chat can be very useful if I'm out in the field trying to solve something. I can have that chat conversation. We can see down below, I can create a new ticket. I can use templates. Let's take a look at just open tickets here. And here we go. We got a test change. So let's take a look at that. All right. So again, full finger friendly here, right? If I want to add to the description, if I want to change the status, I can do that from here. If I'd like to add time to this, if I want to maybe add an assignee, I can jump from section to section also from here, just like we saw those tabs in the desktop interface. So if I want to go to, let's say, time tracking here, I can do that and add my time. Okay. I can also swipe left and right. So if I go left here and right, you can see I can go to appointments and contact links and history and description. So again, really, really nice way for me to work with this ticket. And I can save this ticket and that gets committed real time. Now, if you want your agents to access this from off network, right now this has the understanding of they are connected to your network. That's simply accomplished by some port forwarding through your DMZ from the outside in, so people can work with these on their phones, even if they're not connected to the corporate wireless network. So that would be the mobile interface, and with that, that also would be, well, here we go. Let me step down here. Having some PowerPoint issues today, I guess, right? All I wanted to do was thank you for watching this recording. And so absolutely, just a recap, you saw a lot of things today, I understand, over the last hour and a half. You got to see the end user experience and the self-service portal. You got to see what your technicians are going to experience with the system and how easy it was for them to work with those tickets, to update those, to use visualization, to better understand impact. You got to see the administrative perspective, right? How easy is this to change a form? Right? How easy is it to create automations and build workflows? You saw how simple it is to create reports and generate and schedule those reports. And finally, you saw the mobile interface in the product. So I definitely would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Certainly, if you have any questions, if you'd like to schedule a follow-up demonstration with a live BMC person, or even if you would like to see more on that Asset Core product that we talked about at the beginning, feel free to reach out to your BMC account manager. So thanks again, and have a great day.